Do you realize that waiting for the waiter makes you the waiter? The film opens in 1974 in Northern Ireland, setting up a scene full of mystery as two gangsters walk into a local bar, unaware of the imminent danger planned by the clever criminal, Doireann. She, along with her brother Curtis and their partners Harry and Ron, carry out a devious scheme using a bomb placed with careful thought. A sudden change happens when Doireann sees unsuspecting school kids close to the risky area and frantically warns them to run away. Sadly, the bomb goes off, killing both the gangsters and the innocent kids. Doireann, Curtis, Ron, and Harry quickly flee in their escape car, laying the groundwork for the story to unfold. The scene then moves to Murphy, an older gentleman skilled in using a shotgun, who is having a casual competition with Vincent, the local lawman. After winning, they talk about the growing crime in their area. Later that night, Murphy walks into a busy bar, holding a picture with a circle drawn around someone, the famous singer Bart, who is introduced by the bar's announcer. As Bart enthralls everyone with his singing, it's clear that Murphy is there for more than just a few drinks. Driving to a hidden spot, Murphy shows that Bart is locked in the trunk of his car. With his shotgun, he makes Bart walk to a hillside and tells him to start digging. The truth comes out as Bart realizes he's in a graveyard for Murphy's past targets. In their last talk, Bart talks about his difficult history, but says he's moved on from it. Thinking about Bart's story, Murphy makes a grim choice, suddenly ending Bart's life and burying him in the unofficial graveyard, marked with a spooky tree. It becomes shockingly clear that Murphy is a ruthless hitman, motivated by money. He goes to his manager's place where Josie greets him warmly. She not only asks him about his preferred meal, but also promises to make it for him. The mood changes when Kevin, a new team member, shows his impatience by taking bread from Josie's basket, leading Murphy to remark on the rashness of the young. In a meeting with Robert, Murphy shares that he has finished the job he was given and notices Kevin driving away. He takes this chance to suggest that all upcoming jobs should be given to the younger man. Murphy, revealing the sorrow he's carried since his wife died, expresses a wish to stop his life of crime and start anew. He talks about his late wife's hope for him to become a better person, one who helps and cares for others. This confession surprises Robert, who then asks Murphy what he plans to do next. Murphy shares an unexpected goal. He wants to become a farmer and start a garden. Robert, accepting Murphy's choice, gives him the payment for his last job and says goodbye. The following day, Murphy begins his new life in farming, preparing his land and buying different kinds of seeds from the town. He also starts making friends, like having dinner with his kind neighbor Rita, where they talk about his late wife and their memories. On a walk in the neighborhood, Murphy meets Moya, a young girl fishing on a bridge. He helps her out by giving her a handkerchief to use with the fishing line. While they talk, he finds out that Moya is trying to catch a fish for her family's dinner. The situation becomes sad when she accidentally drops her lunchbox into the water, showing bruises on her neck. Trying to hide the truth, she runs off, leaving Murphy wondering about the girl's story. Murphy then goes to find Moya's mother, Alara, who works at a local bar as a bartender. He praises her bartending skills and tells her about the incident with Moya's lunchbox, taking responsibility for distracting her daughter. Alara, being understanding and grateful for his honesty, accepts his story. Later that night, as he leaves the bar, Murphy meets Moya again, who seems like she might run away. He tells her he's already explained the lunchbox incident to her mother, but Moya doesn't respond and he walks away. To his surprise, Moya decides to follow him. When they get to his house, Murphy feels that something isn't right. Curtis, her uncle, who was involved in the bomb plot at the beginning, is waiting outside. It's clear that something big is about to happen. The following morning, Murphy takes a basket of food to Moya and gives it to her mother, Alara. Worrying about the girl, he asks her about it, and she gives him a bullet but stays quiet about her bruises. Curtis shows up, making Moya hurry inside. In a rude way, Curtis asks Alara for some food and hints that Murphy is up to no good, then leaves with the supplies. Murphy asks about who Curtis is, and Alara tells him they're related by marriage and that she wishes she could get rid of him. Murphy shows Robert the bullet he got from Moya and asks for help dealing with Curtis, mentioning the harm he's caused the young girl. Robert hears about Curtis's threats, but refuses to help. Murphy isn't put off and starts keeping an eye on Curtis, signaling a looming showdown. On his way home, Curtis runs into Murphy, who offers him a ride. They chat, and Murphy talks about his past interest in shooting and asks Curtis about his own interest in guns. Murphy claims he has a special collection of rare ammo and shows a hidden gun in his car's trunk. As Curtis gets sidetracked, Murphy drives him to a forest, planning to get rid of him. But things get risky when Curtis attacks Murphy with a knife. Murphy shoots him, but his gun doesn't work right. Suddenly, Kevin shows up and shoots Curtis in the head, revealing that Robert told him to watch Murphy. The story gets more tangled as the characters' loyalties and motives get more complicated. After burying the body, Murphy and Kevin go to a bar to relax. While they talk, Kevin says he admires Murphy's skill in their deadly business and admits he's a fan. He confesses that he also kills for money, but can't beat Murphy's high number of victims, calling it almost crazy. Murphy gets mad at Kevin's casual attitude towards killing and firmly says that death is serious. He warns Kevin that if he ever makes fun of someone's death again, he'll give him a harsh beating. 2 days go by, and Curtis doesn't show up at the place they usually meet. Worried, Doireann decides to look for her brother, who's gone missing. She goes to Alara's home to ask about Curtis. Alara, annoyed and not knowing where he is, gets an angry telling off from the upset Doireann. Doireann gets more worried when she checks Curtis's gun and finds a bullet missing. She calls her business contact for info and finds out there's someone in town who might help. She follows the advice and goes to Robert's house to talk about her missing brother. When she brings up Curtis, Robert pretends he doesn't know anything and says his people can't help. Just as she's leaving, she sees a bullet on the ground that fits the empty spot in her gun. She points the gun at Robert, demanding the truth. He admits that Murphy killed Curtis a few days earlier. Shocked by this news, she shoots and kills Robert. Josie, Robert's wife, hears the gunshot and runs into the room. Doireann, pointing the gun at her, tells her that her husband is dead and orders her to go back to her room. Now driven by a need for revenge, Doireann and her team are set on finding who's behind Curtis's death. Meanwhile, Murphy and Kevin, after hearing about Robert's death from Josie, calm her down and promise to take care of things. She tells them a woman was aggressively asking about Curtis, making the men think someone wants revenge for his death. They get rid of all proof of their past and future plans and tell Josie to call the cops, as the threat of revenge hangs over them. As the villains search the town tirelessly for Murphy, Doireann gets more and more desperate to find out where he is. She gets Harry to pretend he's Murphy's nephew and go to a store, successfully getting Murphy's real address from the shopkeeper who doesn't know any better. But their secret mission is thrown off when Sheriff Vincent questions why Harry is in town, making him doubt Harry's story about being Murphy's nephew. Not giving up, the group gets to Murphy's house and finds war photos that show his difficult past. At the same time, Murphy gets a feeling that something's wrong as he nears his house, and he tells Kevin to stop the car. They watch what's happening at the house from a distance. During this time, Kevin tells his own story, how he left home, won a fight in a bar that got Robert's attention, and how that led to his job. Murphy talks about his change from being a soldier hardened by war to becoming a killer after his wife died, and how Robert came into his life at that time. The next morning, Doireann, angry that Murphy isn't there, takes out her anger by wrecking his car. Kevin sees this and points his gun at Doireann, but Murphy stops him from doing something rash. Meanwhile, Rita, who sees the commotion, gets punched by Doireann after making a rude comment. Doireann and her team leave, leaving Rita knocked out. Murphy and Kevin quickly go to help Rita, taking her inside her house and calling for medical help without giving their names. At Kevin's place, Murphy finds a burnt newspaper about the Belfast bombing, which makes him want to look more into it. He buys the same paper from a store and sees that Doireann, her brother, and their team are the main suspects in the bombing. Murphy figures out where the group is hiding, where they've gathered lots of explosives. Then, Murphy goes to a big football game that the whole town, including Doireann and her team, is attending. Ron finds out their names and photos are in the paper as bombing suspects, causing them to panic. Even though there's talk of leaving the country, Doireann is determined to get revenge. Observing onlooker at the football game, Murphy finds Doireann and follows her as she goes to the bathroom. But his luck runs out when Doireann comes up behind him with a gun. In a tense moment, Murphy says he didn't kill her brother but agrees to tell her who did. She makes a deal with him: bring the real killer to the bar that night or face serious trouble. She threatens to bomb the whole place. As night approaches, Murphy shares with Kevin their plan to meet Doireann at the bar. He admits he sees no other option but to kill her. Kevin feels a thrill at the thought of being part of such an operation. When they get to the bar, Kevin shows up with weapons, but Murphy insists on using his own gear. Unexpectedly, Murphy gives Kevin a large sum of money and suggests he starts a new life far from all this violence. Kevin is touched and grateful for Murphy's unexpected generosity. Once inside the bar, Murphy strikes up a chat with Sheriff Vincent. When Vincent asks about his job, Murphy gives a vague answer, hinting that it's something the sheriff wouldn't want to know about. He then spots Doireann and walks over to her, while Ron, carrying a bag that looks suspicious, heads to the bar. Outside, Vincent, taking a break for a smoke, notices Harry in a car with scratches on it. Back inside, Vincent spots Ron with the suspicious bag. At the same time, Murphy suggests to Doireann that they talk outside, but she sharply warns him she'll shoot if he tries anything. Then, surprisingly, Kevin shows up, pretending to be interested in Doireann. When she turns him down, he drops her name, revealing he's the one who killed her brother and even brags about it. Furious at this confession, she reacts without thinking and shoots him in the stomach. The bar erupts into chaos and a tense gunfight breaks out, making everyone run for cover. Outside, Sheriff Vincent finds a bomb in Ron's bag, but suddenly Harry hits him from behind. Inside, Kevin manages to shoot Doireann. Amidst the chaos, Murphy shoots at Ron. Quick on his feet, Murphy stops Harry before he can set off the bomb, leading to a violent end for Harry. As Kevin lies dying, he suggests Murphy go to California with the money. But his final moments are interrupted when Doireann, even though she's been shot, makes one last move for revenge and kills him. Murphy, set on confronting her, is blocked by Ron, but in an act of vengeance, he kills Ron. As Doireann leaves the bar, Murphy tails her, and they end up at a church. There she admits to the burden of their wrongdoings and asks for a simple gunshot death as a way to atone. He agrees, albeit reluctantly, recognizing the mutual blame they share. But before he can act, she dies from losing too much blood. He takes on the task of burying her in the woods, marking her grave with a tree as a somber reminder. Murphy then goes to Rita to apologize for not opening up about his troubled history. Rita, understanding and sympathetic, tells him he doesn't need to explain himself. He thanks her and sets off to start a new chapter in his life. If you enjoyed this video, don't be shy to hit the like button, and if you disliked it, hit the dislike button twice, just to be sure. It would be best if you watched the whole movie. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe for more videos like this.